All right, let's now discuss this with eNCA senior reporter Karyn Maughan, who joins us now. Karyn, thank you so much for joining us. So what are the details around this payment that Thuli Madonsela is offering? Is it for both the crashed car and also for her continued use of the state vehicle after she left office?
Well, this is what's so fascinating. I mean, we can break this on eNCA. We have the letter that was sent by Tuli Madonsela to Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, a 3-page letter starting payment of a cost of car repair and car rental. She says, you know, my son was 22 years old when he crashed my car, I'm not doing this because I necessarily believe 100% that, you know, there was a legal prescript that demands this of me, and etc., etc. But she says, I believe it's the moral and ethical thing to do. After careful consideration of this matter in the light of my moral values and ethics, I have concluded that paying for the damage caused by my son, who can't afford to do so, is the right thing to do. I also reiterate the apology I made to government and the people of South Africa on behalf of my family about the regrettable incident that led to the repair costs. She says that, you know, it's basically 470,000 rand that was taken from her gratuity that she would have received upon, you know, finishing her term as public protector. We know just last week she was talking to our colleague Thuli in Gambia about this, very angry, very outraged, making a number of assertions, including that she believed this gratuity was taken as some kind of, this money was deducted as some form of revenge. She now seems to have just decided, I don't want to get involved in this particular fight. The money must go over, and I'm not going to fight about this any further.
You've followed this story for quite some time now, Karyn. Do you get the sense that her, you know, sort of backtracking on this particular issue has to do with the assertion now by the AG's office, Auditor General, that in fact they never investigated this matter?
Well, she says, you know, she does say here that she's grateful that the Auditor General has confirmed that she did, in fact, lodge a query with him. So I think there's a bit of, another information denial that surprised me relates to media reports stating that the issue of a car accident was never dealt with by the Auditor General. In this regard, I'm grateful that the Auditor General has since confirmed through a published statement that the matter was indeed the subject of an audit query. So I think there's a bit of semantics here, but basically she's saying I did go to the Auditor General and that there wasn't an investigation, but I didn't violate, I didn't violate the prescripts of the laws that apply to my office. And I think she's just decided, I mean, at one point I think there would have been a consideration of litigation here, but I think she's probably just decided that this is not really a battle that she wants to fight. However, in this letter, she does make it very clear that she doesn't necessarily believe that she was, this isn't a question of her being compelled to do something that she should have done. It's her saying, look, my conscience, my moral compass is requiring me to do so, and this is why I'm doing it.
To what extent, though, Karyn, in your analysis, does this open her up to being vulnerable to her detractors? Because, you know, some will say, I mean, she's been maintaining all along that I did nothing wrong, and the money that was deducted wrongfully, and she turns around and she offers to pay. You know, questions will be raised there.
She says here, nevertheless, I am supremely grateful for the Auditor General's clarification, as it justifies the view I have always held and communicated to the public in the last few years, that the Auditor General considered the matter and made no finding of wrongdoing on my part. I think this is really going to be one of those issues where we have to speak to the Auditor General and get to the nuts and bolts of it.
Right.
But she seems to be taking the view that she hasn't done anything wrong. I think what was unfortunate, and I think, you know, she doesn't specifically apologize in this letter, to Busisiwe Mkhwebane about these assertions about this being revenge for, you know, the president being forced back to pay back the money. A lot of those kind of assertions, which I think anyone would understand in the lack of evidence, are probably quite deeply unfortunate. But she does say, look, I'm sorry for this whole drama, I'm sorry for this whole saga. And I think possibly what's happened is people close to her have just said to her, listen, you know, this is really not a fight that you need to get involved in. You're at Harvard, you're studying, give up, you know, let the money go. And you know, I think she is a very contentious figure within the landscape, particularly the sort of white monopoly capital, issue and the state capture, that narrative very firmly at the center of this. But I don't know that necessarily, anything that she can do would satisfy that particular viewpoint of her. But I think she's just made a decision that she wants to remove herself out of the drama.
All right, Karyn Maughan, thank you so much. We'll leave you to work the story even further. That is our senior reporter, Karyn Maughan, of course, giving us an update about a story that is developing here on Newsnight about former public protector Tuli Madonsela offering to make a payment with regards to a damaged state vehicle, but also the continued use of a state vehicle after she left office.